Imagine finding a machine at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. Not a modern machine, not a medieval invention, but a complex mechanical device built more than 2,000 years ago. A device containing dozens of precisely engineered gears. A device capable of tracking movements in the heavens. And a device so advanced that, when scientists first began studying it, they struggled to understand how such technology could have existed in the ancient world. This is the story of the Antikythera Mechanism. Welcome to History Uncovered. The discovery. The story begins in the waters near the Greek island of Antikythera. In 1900, a group of sponge divers was working in the Mediterranean when a powerful storm forced them to shelter near the island. When conditions improved, the divers returned to the sea. What they discovered was extraordinary. More than 50 meters below the surface, they encountered the remains of an ancient shipwreck. Scattered across the seabed were statues, pottery, coins, glass objects, and other treasures. The wreck appeared to belong to a ship that had sunk more than 1,000 years earlier. Among the recovered objects was a strange, heavily corroded bronze object. At first, it did not look like anything remarkable. It was broken, covered in corrosion, and difficult to identify. But hidden inside that damaged object was something astonishing. Gears. Tiny bronze gears. And those gears would eventually change our understanding of ancient technology. The mysterious gears. When researchers began examining the fragments, they noticed something unusual. The object was not simply a piece of decoration. It contained carefully arranged mechanical components. There were wheels with teeth. There were inscriptions. There were complex relationships between the gears. The device appeared to have been designed to move in a very precise way. But what was it for? At first, scientists had only fragments of the original mechanism. The corrosion made the inscriptions difficult to read. Some pieces were missing, and the internal structure was hidden. For decades, researchers could only guess what the device had been designed to do. Then technology began to change the investigation. Modern science reveals the secret. Using X-rays, advanced imaging, and eventually computed tomography, researchers were able to examine parts of the mechanism without destroying them. Hidden inscriptions became visible. Internal gears could be mapped. And gradually, the purpose of the machine began to emerge. It was an ancient astronomical calculator. The Antikythera Mechanism appears to have been designed to model cycles in the sky. It could track the movement of the sun and moon. It could help represent calendar cycles. And it could predict astronomical events such as eclipses. The mechanism was essentially turning astronomical knowledge into a physical machine. And that was revolutionary. An ancient computer. Because of its ability to perform calculations mechanically, the Antikythera Mechanism is often described as the world's oldest known analog computer. But this phrase needs some explanation. It was not a computer like the machines we use today. There was no electricity. There was no software. There was no digital screen. Instead, the mechanism used gears. When one gear turned, it caused another gear to turn at a different speed. By carefully choosing the size and arrangement of those gears, the ancient designers could represent complicated astronomical cycles. In other words, mathematics had been transformed into machinery. The astronomy inside the machine. One of the most fascinating aspects of the mechanism is its connection to the moon. The moon does not move around the Earth at a perfectly constant rate from our perspective. Its apparent movement changes during its orbit. The ancient designers appear to have created a mechanical system capable of representing this complex lunar motion. The mechanism also included systems connected with eclipses. Ancient astronomers had already discovered patterns in which eclipses occurred. The device appears to have used those cycles to indicate when eclipses could happen. This tells us something important. The people who created the mechanism were not simply skilled metalworkers. They understood mathematics, astronomy, and mechanical engineering. The Greek technological mystery. So who built it? That question remains difficult to answer. The mechanism is generally associated with the ancient Greek world. Its inscriptions and design provide important clues. But we do not have a surviving ancient document saying, "I built this machine." Researchers have proposed different possibilities for its origin. Some have connected its ideas to famous ancient Greek astronomers and mathematicians. But the exact inventor remains unknown. And that mystery makes the discovery even more fascinating. A lost technology. Perhaps the biggest mystery is not what the mechanism did. It is how advanced mechanical technology like this could appear in the ancient world. Ancient Greek writers described mechanical devices, astronomical models, and complex engineering. But only a small number of these machines have survived. The Antikythera Mechanism may therefore represent only one surviving example of a much larger technological tradition. Imagine if dozens of similar devices once existed. Most may have been destroyed. Others may have been lost. Some could have been recycled for their valuable bronze. And eventually, the knowledge required to build such machines may have disappeared from practical use. This is why the mechanism is so important. It may not be an isolated miracle. It may be a surviving window into a technological tradition that was largely lost. The shipwreck. But another mystery remains. Why was this extraordinary device on a ship that sank near Antikythera? The ship appears to have been carrying luxury goods and valuable objects. Statues, pottery, and other artifacts suggest that it was involved in transporting expensive items across the Mediterranean. The exact origin and destination of the ship are still debated. At some point during its journey, disaster struck. The ship sank. For more than 2,000 years, the mechanism remained underwater. Saltwater slowly corroded the bronze. The wooden parts disappeared. The machine broke into pieces, and its original appearance was almost completely hidden. If those sponge divers had never discovered the wreck, the mechanism might still be resting beneath the sea today. What did it look like? Modern researchers have attempted to reconstruct the device. Using the surviving fragments, inscriptions, and gear structures, scientists have created models showing how the mechanism may have operated. These reconstructions reveal something extraordinary. The original device was probably housed inside a wooden case. It had dials on its surfaces. It contained multiple gears connected together. And its front and back displays represented different astronomical cycles. It was not a simple instrument. It was a sophisticated mechanical model of the heavens. A machine ahead of its time. The Antikythera Mechanism forces us to rethink the ancient world. History is often presented as a simple story of technological progress. Ancient people supposedly had primitive tools. Then centuries passed. Machines became more complex. But discoveries like the Antikythera Mechanism show that technological history is not always a straight line. Knowledge can be developed, forgotten, and rediscovered. A civilization can create something extraordinary and then lose the ability to produce it. The mechanism may represent exactly that kind of forgotten achievement. The mystery continues. Even after more than a century of research, scientists still have questions. How complete was the original mechanism? Were there additional gears that have not survived? Who designed it? Where exactly was it manufactured? How many similar machines existed? And who was supposed to use it? Was it created for an astronomer? A wealthy collector? A scientific teacher? Or someone who simply wanted to demonstrate the power of mathematics? We may never know all the answers. But every new scan, reconstruction, and archaeological discovery can reveal another piece of the puzzle. The legacy. Today, the Antikythera Mechanism is considered one of the most remarkable technological artifacts ever discovered from the ancient world. It reminds us that ancient civilizations were capable of extraordinary scientific thinking. Long before electricity, long before computers, long before modern clocks, someone looked at the movements of the heavens and decided to recreate those movements using bronze gears. That idea alone is astonishing. The machine did not survive in perfect condition. It survived as fragments, corroded pieces recovered from a shipwreck. But those fragments were enough to reveal a forgotten story. A story about astronomy, a story about mathematics, a story about engineering, and a story about knowledge that almost disappeared. Final thought. More than 2,000 years ago, somewhere in the ancient Mediterranean world, craftsmen created a machine designed to imitate the movements of the heavens. Then the ship carrying it sank. The sea swallowed the machine. Centuries passed. Civilizations changed. Languages disappeared. The technology was forgotten. And then, in 1901, divers found a corroded object lying among the ruins of an ancient ship. At first, it looked like nothing more than broken bronze. But hidden inside were gears that told a completely different story. The Antikythera Mechanism is not proof that ancient people possessed modern technology. It is something more interesting. It is proof that human ingenuity can appear in unexpected places and that knowledge can be lost just as easily as it can be created. The machine may be silent today, but its gears still tell us something powerful. The ancient world was far more technologically sophisticated than we sometimes imagine. And perhaps the greatest mystery is not how the Antikythera Mechanism worked. It is how much ancient technology was created, and how much of it has been lost forever. This is History Uncovered. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep uncovering history. Subscribe my channel